We'll return after these messages.
Oh man, they always cut to the commercials right in the good part. Well, just because we're sitting around watching commercials doesn't mean we can't have fun, am I right? Am I right, R2? Ah, crap, who am I kidding? I fucking hate commercials. Almost as much as, I don't know, being promised a cool game and it never coming out. Wait a minute. That gives me an idea. I'll admit, as a gamer, we all have our fair share of disappointments in the gaming industry. You know, your promised titles, your letdowns, that games that just weren't what they were advertised as and wind up being something completely different, or the most frustrating, the games that we were told we were going to get and we never got at all. Tonight's list is dedicated to the latter. And, believe me, it gets frustrating. So, with no further ado, let's hurry up and jump into it with number 5 with Resident Evil 2 for the Game Boy Advance. If you're at least an average gamer, you're more than familiar with Resident Evil 2 and its most recent remake as of the recent years. But what you may not know is that during the mid-2000s, there was an attempt to port it to a handheld, and a surprising one at that, the Game Boy Advance. What you're looking at is actual gameplay footage from the tech demo of Resident Evil 2, which surprisingly plays pretty well. What you're looking at is my actual playthrough through the game, and I can say the controls are actually responsive. Why this game was never released fully probably has to do with the gameplay capabilities and also the data capabilities of the cartridge on the GBA itself, so that might have been the reason why we never got it. But I can't help but actually play through the tech demo and think of the cool little handheld game we could have gotten, but didn't. But unlike the other ones on this list, I can actually understand why this one never came to be, but luckily for us, the tech demo is able to be downloaded for free on the internet, so have at it and dream of the game you could have played. And at number 4, Twisted Metal Black 2 Harbor City. Although it is long and forgotten, many of us still remember the carnage that was the game series, Twisted Metal. With Twisted Metal being a franchise that spans over 3 consoles and 6 game titles, it's hard to believe that any of these were ever unreleased. But little did people know that my favorite title of the franchise, Twisted Metal Black, was actually supposed to get an open world sequel, known only as Twisted Metal Harbor City. Available with Twisted Metal Head-On for the PSP and the PS2, along with other grandiose add-ons that kind of built to the world of Twisted Metal Black, such as Sweet Tours, which actually helps us get a better look into the lost game known as Harbor City by giving us hints and glimpses of the game that we could have had, along with an almost fully playable demo featured with it. With new characters like Severed Sam, and all new locales, who couldn't help but to drool over the idea of playing a Sweet Tooth in an open world location. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, As of now, there's no other way to play it than, well, the Twisted Metal head-on PSP game. And if you're really curious, there's rumors that data miners are currently trying to reconstruct Harbor City so we can play it on modern consoles. So maybe this one isn't lost after all. At number 3, City of the Dead. City of the Dead would have been the upcoming sequel to George Romero's Land of the Dead, based off of the film that shared the same name. Although Land of the Dead was kind of not recognized as a good FPS shooter, it did maintain at least an international online game player basis for a little bit, myself included to that game player basis. Surprisingly, Land of the Dead earned enough profits to put a sequel into production, this time starring horror makeup effects artist Tom Savini playing and voicing the main protagonist. Little is known about this title. One could only dream of the awesomeness that this game could have been, but sadly the only sign of it is a few articles on the web and of course this IGN video that your boy McNasty will gladly show you. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
This game has not yet been rated.
Number 2, Gotham by Gaslight. Before the Arkham games and Lego fucking everything up like it was Disney, there was a pretty epic Batman game in the works. The story was ripped straight from the graphic novel by Mike Mignola called Gotham by Gaslight. The game itself was to be a third-person detective action game. What you're seeing here is the alpha footage of Gotham by Gaslight. It was a cancelled Batman game released by Day One Studios, the devs behind Fear 3. The footage dates back from 2009 to 2010. It was never released due to THQ messing up the licensing and property, but hey, at least we get to see the cool visuals, am I right? Now it's time for a quick shout out for some honorable mentions. Obviously, PT. Of course this is going to be on this list. No shit. But it's not the best, I'm sorry. Castlevania Resurrection. Because, let's face it, Castlevania 64 is kind of the shit. Last but not least, my personal favorite, Legacy of Kain, Dead's Son. Alright, enough dicking around. Now it's time to reveal the number 1 canceled game in my eyes. And that game is number 1, Slasher Volume 1, Summer Camp. Most of you by now are probably more than familiar with Friday the 13th by Gun Media and Ilphonic. The short-lived isometric horror game that is trying to be rebooted more than Jason Voorhees himself. But did you know, long before it became one of my all-time guilty pleasures, especially on PC and Switch, it was actually supposed to be an entirely different game altogether. And yes, I did say I played this on the Switch, so eat my dick. I don't care. Haters hate. Go ahead, comment below. The project was called Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp, and with help and funding from Tom Savini, the game seemed kind of interesting. The footage that you're seeing is the only trailer and beta footage that we can actually find of the said game. From what we understand, it's supposed to be inspired by 80s slashers and themed events, and each volume was supposed to take place in a different, somewhat genre. I honestly thought it was an interesting premise and a lot better than a shitty IP game that has limited licensing, and could have gone better than fucking Dead by Daylight even. But unfortunately, we got, well, a game I do love, regardless of its flaws, Friday the 13th, but I don't know. I kind of wish we got this instead.
No one is safe. No one will survive. Because at summer camp, your sleeping bag will be your body bag.
And honestly, I was so disappointed by our number one pick, I even tried to develop my own game trying to capture a similar vibe, but at a 16-bit. So, yeah, I was actually devastated by this, I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, don't get me wrong, I do love Friday the 13th, but I really wanted this game. On that note, sorry for the short episode and the slight delay at release, but I've been kind of busy as always, but I wanted to give you guys at least a little bit of something. And also, keep an eye on our Discord and streams, as you should, because we got a lot of events coming up and a lot of things you can vote on and have a say in, which is pretty neat-a-rooney. And before I leave, don't forget to like and subscribe, and most importantly, how you doing? Tell me in the comments. Are you having a good day? I want to know. I actually do want to know, because there's nothing going on here, just a sleepy fucking cat. But on that note, I'm your boy, Dr. McNasty. You guys keep it rad, and I'll see you next week. Bye! Dogbot, the show's over. Say bye.
Hey, bye, YouTube. Love you.